Hey everyone, it's Mrs. Henderson. Since Miss Bellflower can't be with us today, I wanted to record the lesson I'm doing with my students so that you all may stay on the same page and to cover some terms that you need to be familiar with in preparation for us reading the Raven later in this class period or tomorrow. So while there's several literary terms that we're going to quickly review that should be familiar with you, the first one is allusions. Allusions may not be as familiar. However, it is part of our standards for 8th grade in that we are covering the standards of determining the meaning of words and phrases, including analogies and allusions to other texts, analyzing how a modern work of fiction draws on themes, patterns of events, or character types from myths, traditional stories, or religious works, and demonstrating an understanding of figurative language. So the main goal here is that you can answer the question, how can allusions add meaning to a text? We want you to be able to identify and analyze allusions that convey a deeper meaning within a text and create allusions that convey a deeper meaning in your own writing. Now today you may not get to a place where you can use allusions in your own writing. However, this will be a year-long process where right now you're just learning about allusions and we will apply them to the Raven and we will apply them to other texts throughout the year, and hopefully by the end of the year you're able to use allusions in your own writing. So all of this to say, what is an allusion? An allusion is a reference to a statement, a person, a place, or event from history, literature, religion, mythology, politics, sports, science, or pop culture. Basically, it's any reference to anything famous. The main goal of allusions is to reference something famous or familiar or something from history or literature, religion to make a comparison. So someone may say, you are as smart as Albert Einstein, or they may refer to you as skilled as Kobe Bryant, or something like that. And if they say that, they're alluding to someone else and saying that you have the same qualities as that person. Now, why the examples that I just used were similes, allusions are not always used in similes. They're used in many different ways. Essentially, an allusion is any reference to a person, statement, place, or event in history, literature, religion to make a comparison. One type of allusions include historical allusions, which might be events, people, and quotes from history. So here I provided one example. It says 50 years ago, which is from Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. And in this speech, that is actually an allusion to Abraham Lincoln's speech, the Gettysburg Address, which starts off with 7 years ago. So Martin Luther King Jr. is giving this speech in a time of segregation and inequality between races in the United States. So he is using this reference from Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, which freed slaves and ended slavery during the Civil War, to remind his listeners of the impact of Abraham Lincoln's speech in the Gettysburg Address. So instead of coming out and saying, I want my speech to be like the Gettysburg Address, he uses the allusion of 50 years ago in reference to Abraham Lincoln's 7 years ago to remind the reader of the work that Abraham Lincoln did and set the same tone for the type of freedom and equality that he's working towards. So he's using that as to compare his speech and his expectations and hopes to Abraham Lincoln's expectations and hopes in the Gettysburg Address. Another type of allusions that you may see are classical allusions, and this is reference to anything in mythology or the Bible. This is the most common type of allusions that you will see, and in the Raven, this is our main focus. So if I said Nike is the Greek goddess of victory, mentioning the Greek goddess of victory in reference to the Nike adds meaning to the company's logo and implying that by wearing Nike products, people will be victorious in their sporting events just like the Greek goddess. So when you use allusions in this way, you are giving the same character traits or outcome or scenario to whatever you're talking about as the reference of person or history that you're mentioning. So for example, if I said, with 5 kids and an annoying wife, that man must have the patience of Job. Job is a character from the Bible who went through many different trials and tribulations. So by mentioning Job here, I am saying that this person has the same character traits of Job. And as I read this, I need prior knowledge of Job and the experiences he went through to understand this man deeper. So I could have just said this man had incredible patience, but by saying that the man had the patience of Job, it's making a comparison that has a deeper meaning. Or if I said, I'm not leaving that Judas alone with my wallet and car keys. So once again, Judas is another reference to a biblical character who was one of Jesus' 12 disciples, and he betrayed Jesus. So by mentioning Judas here, I am putting the character traits of dishonest and anger and betrayal of Judas onto this person. So I could have just said, I'm not leaving that dishonest person alone with my wallet and car keys, but instead said, I'm not leaving that Judas alone with my wallet and car keys. So referencing a character from the Bible here adds a deeper layer of the negative character traits of this person. Then the third one says, chocolate is my Achilles heel. If I use this statement, I'm referencing to something in Greek mythology. It's a story of a character named Achilles, and his mom wanted to keep him safe from harm, and so she dipped him into a river that would make him pretty much invincible or invulnerable to anything that might harm him, and held him by his heel. So his only vulnerable state in his entire body was his heel. So by saying chocolate is my Achilles heel, I am using that reference to say chocolate is my one weak point. However, I have to have prior knowledge of Achilles heel to know the relationship between chocolate and Achilles heel to know that chocolate is my one weak point. So literary allusions are references to famous works of literature or quotes or authors. So 2 examples I have here. The first is, you better watch out, you might turn into a pumpkin at midnight. That is a reference to Cinderella, where her carriage turned into a pumpkin at midnight. So if you say that to someone, it may be in a joking tone, but their prior knowledge of Cinderella allows them to make that connection between what you're saying and what you're referencing. The second one says that you were Romeo, you were throwing pebbles, and my daddy said stay away from Juliet. This is a Taylor Swift quote, but she is referencing Romeo and Juliet. These are 2 characters from a Shakespearean play that are very well known, and in that play they have this great love that ends in tragedy and that was unwanted, and all these different traits in their relationship. So as Taylor is using this reference, she is making a connection between the character traits that Romeo and Juliet's relationship had and the relationship that she has with the person she's singing about. So by using this allusion, she is allowing the reader to connect Romeo and Juliet's story to her story with the person she's talking about. She could have just said, my dad didn't want me to see you, but by using this reference, she is adding a deeper layer of meaning to the relationship and to the song in comparison with Shakespeare's play. So why do authors use allusions? It adds deeper meaning to the text by referring to another work that has a similar theme. It allows the author to emphasize an idea or theme without just coming out and saying it. And it gives the reader a chance to understand the deeper meaning and to draw similarities between themes of both the allusion and the text. So essentially, allusions are used to make a comparison so that the reader can have a deeper understanding of whatever the author is talking about. So this shows the depth and the detail that allusions add. So these two sentences say, "Hey, guess who the new Einstein at our school is?" versus, "Hey, guess who the new smart student is?" By using Einstein, it sounds better. It has a deeper understanding of the concept versus saying new smart student. Einstein insinuates that the person is extremely intelligent or has a deeper quality of intelligence because of our knowledge of Einstein. So it's making that comparison of what we know about Einstein to this new person to build a deeper understanding. So once again, allusions are used to make connections to the current situation or a current topic within a text to something else so that we can better understand what the author is saying. So some of the other terms that we are going to look at in The Raven that should be familiar to you. One is repetition, which is where a word, phrase, full sentence, or poetic line repeats to emphasize its significance to the entire text. This is used to push the theme or message that the author is trying to convey, and it adds a deeper layer of meaning as well. So if we look at the example, it says the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but you have a promise to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So it adds more of a rhythmic tone to the story as well. Alliteration is when there is a repeating sound at the beginning of a word, and this is used to create strong rhythm and a musical structure to a verse. So here we have the free bird thinks of another breeze, and trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worm waiting on a dawn bright lawn. So using the words bird and breeze and trade and trees, soft and sighing and worm and waiting all kind of add a deeper layer of imagery and a deeper layer of rhythm and musical structure to the poem. Internal and external rhyme. Internal rhyme is when there is a rhyme within a line. It's also called middle rhyme. So when there's if we look at the first line of the example, the fair breeze blew, the white foam flew. Breeze and blue, that is a rhythm there. And then external rhyme is when there is a rhyming on the outside of the line. So we have the furrowed followed free and into the silent sea. Those are external rhymes. Those are also alliteration with furrowed followed free and silent and sea. And the last one is personification. This is when a non-human object or thing is given a human character trait. So this allows the reader to feel that it has the ability to act like a human. It adds imagery and a deeper layer of connection and meaning to the text. So it says there was a heavy thunderstorm. The wind snorted outside and rattled my window panes. The wind cannot snort, and the second one says the tread of time is so ruthless that it tramples even the kings under its feet. Time can't be ruthless or trample something. So the personification adds a deeper layer of meaning and kind of imagery to the text. All of these are important concepts for you to be familiar with in preparation for understanding The Raven and for analyzing The Raven in the coming days. So make sure you filled in all the blanks in your interactive notebook. If you have a question or do not understand something, please feel free to write down and I will be happy to answer it in the coming days. Just let me know if you have any questions or problems.